Now, hi all. I am
Hey
hosting.
guys.
How's things, Kevin Reese? I am hosting for the first time ever tonight, so just take it easy on me. However, we can come in at a satisfying result for once, considering we're only off the back of a 7-0 win at home to the mighty Barnsley. Um, Kevin, I'll come to you first. What did you think of the overall game, and who stood out for you in regards to the players?
You know what? It was the first game in a long, long time where from minute 1 to minute 90, it actually went the way it should have went. It wasn't as if there was like 30 minutes of soaking up mad pressure and then beating them or something. It was just an easy cruise win. Barnsley gave up. It was fine. I think we had 65-ish% possession. They didn't have a shot on target. And just the athleticism against these lower level teams, athleticism seems to beat them, and just the power and speed of Garnacho it really exposed them. So I thought he looked amazing tonight.
Yeah, I think overall our technical ability versus such a lower league opposition really stood out tonight. Where like at times them games can be banana skins like we'd seen last year with the likes of Newport away and that, but thankfully we were able to go out tonight and get a resounding win in front of 3/4 full Old Trafford by the looks and sounds of things. To commend their away fans seem to be on it from the get go though. You have to commend them in regards to they sang their heart throughout. So yeah, but thankfully into the half of the next round. Reese, what did you make of it altogether?
I thought it was a good game. I quite enjoyed it. I think when you look at the overall game, it certainly was a bold reflection. It's never going to work. Get over it. Honestly, you tell somebody one thing and it never works. He's in his woman arc now. No, I genuinely enjoyed the game. I thought start to finish it was certainly a lot better than recent games. It's good to see a bit of tempo. It's good to see a bit of team structure. It's good to see players actually want to play professional football, not Sunday League amateur football or some different sport like badminton. It was good to see them actually working as a team. And just going to conclude this bit by just saying that I was right. I'm just going to leave it at that. I was right.
You're seldom wrong.
No, I was absolutely right. I said Rashford should be playing as a striker. He can't play as a left winger.
No, and I agree with you. The only issue is, unfortunately, and from his own standpoint, it seems like he doesn't want to play as a nine and wants to play further wide. So that's the issue that we have.
That's his
Unfortunately,
fault. It's his fault. He's either
yeah,
plays a striker or leave the club.
yeah. Well, based on the past couple of games, obviously, we're playing lower opposition in regards to today, but he got his goal against Southampton the weekend and ultimately figured it out tonight with a 4-2. So hopefully he can kick on from there. Because this is the Rashford that we want to be seeing, week in, week out. And he was smiling tonight, which is something that we haven't seen too often from him over the past 18 months, thankfully. So yeah, coming on to the weekend, I suppose, with Crystal Palace. How do you see that game going, Kevin? As in, we obviously, albeit again, like it's referenced previously, going against lower land opposition tonight, but we have to be going in there with our heads held high and our confidence up to a packed Selhurst Park on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be a completely different game, obviously. They're not just going to fall over straight away. Southampton were nice for us last weekend. They're a team that tried to play a lot like Burnley, tried to play city football. When you're not the best team in the league, you can look very bad with that type of football. Palace play a more diverse range of football, and yeah, we'll have to perform a lot better than that opening 30 minutes against Southampton anyway. We'll have to play with more confidence like we did for the last half hour that game and the full 90 of this game to beat them. So we'll have to see how the back line is. Hopefully Martinez is good. The legs looked fine tonight. I was actually surprised to see Mazraoui out there, since I saw him helped out of his chair at the end of the Southampton game. But yeah, hopefully everyone's fit enough, and it'll be Kobe Mainu in midfield. I assume with probably Ugarte will see his first start at Premier League level.
Yeah, thankfully, as well as that tonight, we seem to come out realistically unscathed based on what we know, considering there wasn't any injuries that we'd potentially seen. Ugarte, for the game that he had, when he went down there at the end of the first half, wasn't he? His foot got stamped on. I just took a sigh of breath. I said to myself, "Oh, no way," because it's just the way he pointed the bench straight away, meaning he wanted attention. And I said to myself, considering he was at the starting what did you think of the likes of Casemiro coming back into the fold tonight, Reece? He'd obviously not a lot to do as per se over the course of the game, but how do you think he handled it in regards to that ill Liverpool game, should I say? Albeit I know we got a couple of minutes the weekend against Southampton.
I'm never wrong. I'll be honest, I wasn't particularly paying attention to Casemiro all game. Like, I wasn't even bothering to pay attention to him because I already know he's finished. So it didn't really bother me. But from what I did see anyway, when I was watching the game, and he was standing out, he was at least making those darting runs where he was trying to get up the field. He's clearly not interested in playing a defensive role at all. So I look at it and I think, by that estimation, if you're going to play him in these games, then he shouldn't have to be playing in a defensive role at all. So that's what I'm basing it on. But oh no, I thought he was fine.
Yeah, it was quite evident. Obviously, he had Ugarte sitting versus Casemiro was the more further forward in regards to two of them at the base. But I thought he done relatively well. One player that I suppose, judging by the price tag, should have had a good game and had a relatively good game tonight, considering he got his goal, was Anthony. He's so much to prove at Old Trafford. He's probably one of them players that you'll say is doing all together as well, considering he hasn't given much fruition off that £80 million or so price tag, but ultimately played relatively well tonight as well. Did anyone else stood out other than your usual, your Garnachos or your Rashfords, Kevin? Anyone for you tonight that you said yourself, you know what, they come up with a surprising performance, as per se? I know that's hard to come up with after a 7-0 win, but anyone of note?
God, I'm trying to think now and give you an answer for this. I don't know if anyone really stood out other than the ones you mentioned. We just did a really good job at completely soaking out, like completely compressing them, and it kind of made it so nobody other than our forwards could stand out. Like they didn't have any shots on target. They didn't get near our box really. Toby Collier, his name wasn't mentioned, and when you're wasn't really mentioned, and when you're a centre midfielder who's playing left back, that's probably the best thing that can possibly happen to you, is never have your name mentioned throughout the whole game. That means you did nothing wrong. So it was just no one really stood out. I mean, other than Garnacho, and I guess Rashford had that gorgeous close first touch for the goal. For his goal was amazing.
Eriksen.
So it's good to see him back. Is one thing. Anthony, I didn't think he looked any anything special. He really didn't. He won a penalty, scored the penalty, and that was that was kind of that, I think.
You mentioned Christian Eriksen there.
He was by far our best player, even though I gave the man the match to Garnacho. Like, Eriksen was by far our best player today. In the position where he was actually at his most effective, like him playing a deeper role is a crime. Like, the fact that he was playing that comfortable 10 role literally was needed. And I'm glad that he got to play in a role that actually feels comfortable. And I think that's the exclamation point of the opposition, of where he is really in control.
Yeah, I agree with you. One thing that I said in the last podcast, in which I done, was that if you're just judging by a squad basis, would you rather let McTominay go versus Ericsson? And at the time, and I
Still
still stand,
McTominay.
yeah, but Ericsson does give us an awful lot. No matter what people say, he's a very good squad player, and that's all he'll ever be for this current Manchester United squad. And technically, he's absolutely excellent. People can't take that away from him. Now, he does have his flaws like everybody else in that squad. However, he's he had a very good game, I thought, the weekend as well. So hopefully he can kick on now. I obviously don't see him being a starter in general. However, he is a very good squad player for us. There's no doubt about it. I personally thought that we didn't have a player that stand out that was poor tonight, other than obviously the keeper, considering he had absolutely nothing to do, unfortunately for him, in his preferred position. However, I'm just glad that we ultimately got the results needed.
To be honest, I think there was one player that I thought was particularly poor. And just because I don't think he knows where he's supposed to be playing yet, and I think that's Xerxes. Again, comes off the bench and he had about 30 minutes, and I thought it was good that we rotated quite early. But honestly, I don't think he did anything remotely of note or anything contributive towards the game. That's back-to-back games for him where he's actually been quite poor. I think I'm not saying he needs to be judged harshly so early. I think that wouldn't be fair. What I'm saying is, in the previous game, he didn't do anything. He had a good international break, and you've got this as well. I don't think he knows where he's supposed to be yet, like with the team, and I think he's finding his feet really slow. But once he comes good, he will come good. But even against Barnsley, like, he did absolutely nothing. He was probably the only player I thought that was genuinely boring.
It's probably about mindset for him as well, though, in regards to, obviously he comes off
Not
the bench.
too much, though.
What were we, 5-0 up at the time, maybe, when he'd come off the bench?
Yeah.
I agree with you in regards to he done nothing to change. Well, the game was already, hung, drawn, and quartered by the time he come on. However,
not necessarily change the game. You don't really want him to change the game, but
make an impact for himself, really, than anyone else.
I really want him to just get nailed and running, because one thing that's unfortunate for him is, because he's a striker, he's going to get judged on how many goals he actually scores, how many chances he doesn't score. He's had plenty of chances missed already since he's joined the club. And annoyingly, he'll always, even though it was a reasonably decent feat, he's always going to be put back to, did United waste their time spending on this guy? Well, no, they didn't waste their time, because he's a good striker. He's a very good link-up player as well. But when you look overall, he really needs to get the ball in the back of the net.
I think, like, what he's shown over the past several weeks is he's very good with his back to goal, versus someone like, when Hoyland obviously comes back fit into the fray. Like, if you're Xerxes, realistically, you're saying to yourself, I need to show merit here, and I need to be like what you touched on, Reece, from a goal scoring perspective. He needs to be putting the ball in the net, because when Hoyland comes back, he's going to be, he'd probably be firing on all cylinders. We haven't seen him out for such a period at Manchester United, and he's going to be chomping at the bit. Considering, obviously, we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we're off the back of two good wins, in the sense of, we've scored a lot of goals versus last season throughout the likes of, the Fulham game, a scrappy win, and obviously we lost against Brighton, and we won't mention the third game of the Premier League season. But it's one of them that he needs to kind of kick on. And I know we're only saying this after the back of a 7-0 win in the League Cup game. However, football takes no prisoners, and Manchester United definitely won't.
He's an excellent player. And like I've said, like, when it comes to contributing in different ways, he really will do that. He's a fantastic link-up player. I watched Serie A religiously. He was excellent for Bologna, but when you look at the different level now, he's gone from Bologna, who shot many to finish in Serie A's top 4 last year, which doesn't happen in a normal season. You've now got him going to United, where it's a whole bigger level, bigger stature of club, where you are judged even more. And I've never said once he's a terrible player. I really like Xerxes. I want to see more from him in terms of numbers, but also is coming, you're going to see this guy get a lot of assists as well, but he still needs to get the ball in the back of the net.
So realistically, judging on the fact that you obviously had seen him play previously at Bologna, we haven't seen much of him at all prior to him signing. And I obviously would have watched YouTube clips and all because he's been lauded to it since he's been at since he was at Bayern Munich as a kid. So like realistically, like this is potentially the player we're gonna see. Like he just needs to be finishing more than anything else because he has everything that you were saying as a pretty good, decent striker with like brilliant link-up play, etc. Yeah.
He's got so much in his locker that people haven't seen yet. But one thing he's really good at, though, is getting into the box and scoring goals. I'm pretty much assuming the fact right now that he's just trying to find his feet and try to find his positioning. But apart from that, everyone else is fine. I just want to see him score.
Yeah.
He can be very late getting into the box. Is one of the things I notice.
He is known for that. Yeah, he was. That was something that was both criticised and praised for him when he was at Bologna, was his timing into the box for runs. As he can be that minute, or they actually coined it as a minute. But that period of time where we really need him to get the box, where he can be a little bit of a delay, will allow other wingers to come in. But then there's times where we really need him to just pounce on it. That's massive.
Seems like he's laboured at times, doesn't it? It's like there's a parachute on his back at times. You know, in regards to like he doesn't come across as a pacey player. Definitely not over the first couple of yards anyway. Versus someone like Højlund who was lightning quick. I know I keep referencing Højlund. It's because obviously he's the player who you want to, you know, he's going to be looking down his neck at. Because like, you know, we'll have a lot of games this year. There's no doubt about it, between the Europa League and obviously the cup competition, providing we can stay in them as a whole. However, you know, I think this is a resounding season for us. But sure, every season is. However, you know, I'm particularly optimistic about, like, you know, our overall, you know, play this year based on the squad we have.
By the end of the season, you'll see exactly what I mean tonight when I say that he will show his effectiveness from play with and without the ball. You will see it by February.
So the fitter he gets, basically, and the more in tune he is with our characteristics and our style of play, etc.
Oh yeah, or even if he has to do it on his own, you'll see it by February.
One thing that I wanted to ask you, Kevin, I'll bring you in there, just in regards to Ugarte. Obviously, he made his full debut tonight, his full Old Trafford debut, versus obviously the weekend where he'd only played a cameo appearance after training on the bench. How do you think he done tonight, and what type of player have you witnessed him be in the first two games of his Man United career?
Yeah, he looks okay. I couldn't tell much against Southampton really, but he looked good tonight. Like I said earlier, one of the reasons we didn't see guys like see really what our defense was doing tonight was because we really pushed up, and he was one of the guys who was really quick getting at their midfield. Sometimes they tried to pass the ball out for I don't know why really against a Premier League club, but he was really quick to pounce on people, and which Casemiro used to be before we bought him anyway. And he looked very good. I was really worried after that horrible tackle that they somehow got free from. Don't know why, but he looks good. He looks good on the ball, and he can carry the ball as well. I could see as well. He's got a decent dribble.
Trevor, do people even listen to what I say? I'm gonna go with no, right? I never said I wasn't convinced by Xerxes. I said he didn't do anything remotely interesting tonight at all, right? But I was the first person, everybody on this freaking channel, by the way, and you can ask Keane by this. You can ask Keane, he'll tell you. I was the first to tell you we've literally signed a baller. Look, I'm not even joking. And he won't be our player of the season, by the way. Garnacho will. Just saying.
That's obviously right. So we'll have to go back to Keane and just make sure that you did say that. We'll ask him. in regards to one thing that stood out for me in regards to Ugarte, obviously he closes down the ball really, really quickly in that like first South American style. And I said to myself, you know what, as good as a player he potentially is and is currently shown, I tell you what, I'm worried about just the amount of bookings, etc., that he'll get throughout the course of the year. Like Casemiro in his first couple of games, you know, like, and let alone that the bookings he received, he sent off 3 or 4 times in his first season, I think. Just going in, flying into tackles, etc. And you just get a name for yourself. I think the Premier League, particularly versus somewhere like La Liga, where you can obviously go in for tackles like that, and at times referees are going to play it on. But in England, when you get a name, you play for Manchester United, etc., it's going to be like, we're going to stamp this out now, and you're going to take something away from that man's game. Like, I think he had 4 or 5 fouls tonight. That I had seen personally, and then I said to myself, like, this is against Barnsley again. Like, I keep referencing all due respect, the weaker opposition, and he's closing down the ball relatively quickly, and then just giving needless frees away. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to take away the significance of the result or his performance, because he played relatively well, but you just don't want them to be earmarked. Maybe I'm being a bit too cynical, but what do you think of that, Reece, in general?
To be honest, I think he's just playing it the way he normally would. He's playing the exact same way that he played for PSG when he eventually got into the PSG team, because, again, stupid that they didn't play with him, yet he ended the season with the most tackles by any player, which is hilarious. The exact same way that he plays for Uruguay, like, same way that he played at Sporting Lisbon. You've just got somebody who just plays with every bit of energy and passion on his sleeve, and somebody who has got qualities that will really improve this team. The only thing that will earmark him, as you're right, is the Premier League is filled with so many soft clowns, and I'm speaking specifically about referees. The Premier League is so damn soft. If he was playing in Italy doing the same fouls, not a problem. Doing it in the Bundesliga, no problem. La Liga, no problem. But Serie A especially, he'd be happy, he'd be chilled. The fouls that he was doing tonight against Barnsley, they were nothing.
No, nothing.
Like, they're nothing. It's just any excuse for the referee to make themselves the main event, make themselves the one with all the attention.
Yeah.
Like, just the referees just need to simply do their job and fuck off.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't see enough of it in England, do we? So
no, we don't. No, they
we
want to
saw
make
that
everything about them.
Chelsea and Arsenal in the North London derby, and the Chelsea Bournemouth, was it? I mean, there was 8 yellow cards before for very little in those games. Like, so,
I think
the tackles he was making were very you'd see 50-50 yellows in the Premier League for some of them.
Yeah.
They're just kind of stopping the flow of possession for the other team. Just fouls like that. So
I want to see him do all that. I want to see him do that, because if any other player in the league can get away with it, then I want to see him do it and get away with it. Rodri's my pick to win the Ballon d'Or, and I love seeing Rodri do it for Spain, etc. I like seeing him do all that shit. I want to see Ugarte do it for United. Like, I don't care. I don't care who is in front of him. Just swipe them.
I want them to be an absolute bastard, forgive me language.
Same.
Just break up absolute everything. And as well as that, like, just be that base of midfielder that literally gets us going, because let alone his ferociousness and his like how astute he is in possession. It's his technical ability as well that isn't too much. I know I haven't seen an awful lot of him, but what I've obviously read up on and heard about, it's his technical ability as well. It's not just that he's very good in regards to breaking up play. So I'm looking forward to what Saturday will hold. We won't dwell into too much of it, albeit I touched on it at the start of the pod, but in regards to Saturday, do you see him starting Premier League game, Kevin, or what way do you think? I know you touched on it previously, but what's your preferred the base?
I'd love to see him and Mino playing together for Crystal Palace match away. It's a big one. It'll be a ferocious crowd, but hey, it's a good. I guess it's a nice test for him, wouldn't it be? I don't know if it would be the whole match he'd play now, but the way him and Minu could get the ball quick straight onto Bruno and be in attack very fast. The start of the game today again, showed a few. Just again, one of our attacks was just so annoying. I think it was only after like 10 minutes, but we won a sloppy pass. They played a sloppy pass. I think Anthony got onto it. He gave it to, I think it was Ericsson, and you'd think, right now, here we go. And 10 seconds later, Maguire and Evans were passing the ball to each other. You know, we have to move on from that. And if him and Mainu can push on very fast with passes just like that, up, always up the field, we won't be dealing with watching Onana with the ball the whole time, because that's one of the issues we were having with Casemiro when he got the ball. He couldn't spin, or he couldn't give the little quick passes. It would all just be have to take control, look around, see what happens, then give the pass. If Ugarte has the quick technical ability that he has, it'll be just that one extra second will really help.
What do you think, Reece, in general? Your preferred base of two? What's your preferences versus what Ten Hag's preferences? At times it'll probably be different, unfortunately. But what do you think? How do you think, should I say, Saturday will go in regards to who he starts at the base?
To be honest, I quite like the dynamic shock that we got between Ugarte and Casemiro. Like, it's a little bit of a shock there. I think they actually may fit better than Ugarte and Mainu will. I think that purely it's because of the difference of play. I think if you look at in a way they will try to hold the ball a bit too long. I think all three of them in their own way are still good players, but I think Casemiro's just his experience definitely now doesn't outweigh his movability. Like, whereas Ugarte's got a mixture of both, so he should be in the team automatically. I think going forward it should just be Mainu Ugarte regardless. But I've often said a few times I think United should look a little bit more interchangeable, maybe mix things up a little bit, and I would slot Ahmad in there at times. Not as the two, but I'd actually make it a three and I put Ahmad in there sometimes when he isn't being used as a winger.
So you mean just for ball retention, like?
Not really. It's like I watched this game for I watched his game for the Ivory. Like, I watched his two games for the Ivory Coast during the international break, and he played on the left side of a midfield three, and he didn't look out of place at all. Like, I really liked what I've seen from him. So I think there's times where if he's not playing as a winger, we're playing a three-man midfield, I would play him on the left-hand side of that midfield. And I would play Mainu and Agati beside them. I really like the dynamic of that. I think as well, because of the improvement of these players, if they can continue to improve, you'll see big money signings like Anthony, you'll see big money signings like Mason Mount, who's still got to prove himself as well when he comes back from injury. They'll struggle to get back into this team regardless of the position they want to play. Whether they want to play as attacking midfielder, in Mount's case, or he wants to play in the right wing, Anthony, you could see them being playing in totally different positions. Like, Toby Collier wasn't out of position. Like, he wasn't out of position because he's a bad player. He's out of position because he's so versatile in different ways. But even his central preferred role, he doesn't get into that midfield. But as a left back, where right now our left back position is, I'm not going to apologise for it, our left back position is horse shit. Like, I would absolutely consider Toby Collier as playing as a left back besides Harry Amas, because I don't care for Malacia and I don't care for Luke Shaw.
I think one of the lads touched on it tonight as well. Like, the beneficial aspect of Toby Collier playing tonight was in possession, obviously, in which we had significant amount of. He was able to exactly revert back into midfield and give the lads support in there from a technical perspective. But
I wasn't sure him. I wasn't sure him at the start of the season. Like, I thought maybe he was one that when he got called up, and I thought he was all right in pre-season, but I thought, is he realistically the player that we should be bringing in the squad more? I thought, considering the left back is a problem, I would have had Harry Amas in the squad more. But ever since Collier's played, he's just continued to impress me, and I'm glad that he hasn't went out on loan.
I am as well. I'll agree with you on that standpoint because, as well as that, like it's okay bringing youth into
Mm-hmm.
a team like Manchester United, but
Yeah.
forgive me ignorance, but it's even more special when you know that they want to play for Manchester United, if that makes sense. It's just like it's
Aye.
not this fella is a fan versus being a footballer as well, so you can see it in him that realistically he wants to be there, and nobody has a divine right to be there, but currently, he has a divine right to be in the squad. So yeah, it's only going to be
I,
beneficial in
I would
regards.
start him.
Yeah.
I would start him against Palace.
Mhm.
I would don't. I would. Well, not say the exact same back four, but the only changes I would make is Matsurawi back at right back, Delit, Martinez, and Onana, and I'd keep Collier at left back.
So Delo, you're getting rid of.
Yeah, I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I just think Matsurawi has just been absolutely outstanding since he's joined the club, and the words Wan Bisahu literally come to mind because he's been outmatched and outgunned and outshone already since Matsurawi's came to the club. So that's exactly what I would do personally.
Yeah, I wish everything was personal because as good as Toby Collier was tonight, and what he's shown in the first few games, albeit it's been limited game time. However, I just don't see past Delo, unfortunately.
No, I see why. To be fair, I
Yeah,
do. I do like Dallo, and last year he had a very good season. But I just think already the fact that Matt Shaw's come in and he's already done more in an even shorter space of time shows that your levels do need to be raised a lot. And he's only playing left back because Matt Shaw was just absolutely brilliant. Like
yeah.
until like we do need a proper left back, like regardless.
Oh,
But I liked what I saw from Collier. I'm not a fan of the whole inverted fullback coming into midfield nonsense, but I liked it when at least when we transitioned into a three-man defence so we can attack with numbers. I liked the fact that he sat on the left central position of defence and then he would move into the midfield. I liked seeing that from him. I like that he has a good eye for a ball, that he's filled with energy. I like that he's got enough in his locker to not be. He's not an outstanding player. I don't think he'll ever amount to that. But I certainly think he's the capability of being a very good player, provided he just remains humble and continues to work hard. And that's exactly what I like from him. That's why I like watching Kobe Manu. It's why I like watching Garnacho, even though he can be a little bit of a nightmare. But that nightmare is what I enjoy. It's why I like watching Ahmad. About time Ten Hag used his brain cells and put him in the team. Like there's just elements of certain players that you just want to see more of. These are some of them.
yeah. And I know he came with a relatively big price tag, albeit when he's younger, from Atlanta. However, he just gives you more fruition, I think, down obviously that wing versus like someone like Anthony, albeit he played relatively well tonight. But we're still talking about, when I touch on played relatively well, you're playing against a team who were seventh in League One, who done effectively nothing tonight, so he had the freedom of
Mm-hmm. I do disagree with Kevin's point though about Anthony. I mean, I'm not Anthony's biggest fan, but I was happy when we initially did sign him, and obviously he was a pain in the neck for me last season with some of his performances. But I like the fact that he was constantly involved and he was actually trying to do more than usual. I like the fact that he was trying to be. Well, he does like he's dipping in, curling left side and go for a shot, but he was actually looking for a lot of passes into the box. Nobody was really getting on the end of his passes though. Like nobody was making an effort. Like he dipped in 2 or 3 crosses into the box and nobody ran for them. I think when people complain that our wingers don't get enough like additional contributions, like they don't get enough assists, for example, they're not running into these balls, and it's purely because of that. I think there was only one time, and I think it landed to Rashford, and it was just defending that stopped him from getting another goal. But I do like to see what we have on it, but this is what lets them down. Like that's the only thing that lets them down is why are the wingers not getting enough assists? Because there's times where Garnacho got the perfect assist, for example, and there's times where they're just a little bit slower, or they're just so far ahead. Like, I think that communication just needs to maintain itself. But I don't think Anthony was. I don't think it was less just because it's Barnes. I actually think he treated it like he was trying to get his position back. I actually thought he stood out for himself. He ain't going to be a great Brazilian winger, though. Like, that's a foregone conclusion.
No.
But I did like what I saw from him, though. Odd run up, though, for a penalty, but I'll take that.
I just think, like, you know, the writing was on the wall after, like, such a significant price tag, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I hope to God I'm proven wrong as a whole, because there's nothing more than I'd love for every Manchester United player to stand out versus their price tag. I'm not trying to be too cynical here, but it's just, you know, he obviously definitely grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck tonight, in regards to obviously getting his goal, and he played relatively well, I thought. But again, as well as that, you have to produce these, you know, glimpses of in bigger games, and that's something that he obviously hasn't done throughout the course of his Manchester United career. You know, and as well as that, like you touched on, like realistically, he's battling the position with himself and Ahmad at the moment, and Ahmad obviously is coming out trumps in regards to that. He's at the starting off very well this year, and boy, right, so he deserved that chance as well. You know, it's look, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. We're off the back of two good wins, and as well as that, obviously, just like I said, there's nothing better than competition in the Manchester United squad, and tonight was obviously excellent in regards to getting that result over the line. And when was the last time you seen 3 or 4 goals at Old Trafford, let alone 7? Like, I don't, like, you know, I can't remember. I can't remember the back off the end of 2 wins. Like, when was the last time you won 2 games in a row, no matter what competition it was? Maybe my mind boggles, you know.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. Well, it was that long ago that I can't remember, unfortunately.
But when was the last time, like I said at the start, when was the last time the game went the way you'd think it would go? Yeah.
I don't want to wind them up because of pal, but I'm going to say the Chelsea game where we won 4-1.
Maybe, yeah.
I was actually that game actually. I would say start to finish the game where we beat Chelsea. Like that would probably be it for me. But this was just full control. The only thing now though is for this lot, even for the players that started the game, like they're still important squad players, like who are starting these games. There's no hiding for them now. Like you can't hide now. You can't go and beat the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league, Southampton 3-0, and just control the game after about 75 minutes, because with 25 minutes we were absolutely rubbish, and then 90 minutes plus tonight. You can't all of a sudden go to play Crystal Palace and then we scrape to a result. Like we have to not go and absolutely obliterate them, but we need to go and justify that we are still a top team or want to be an even better team. They can't hide from this. I don't want to be sitting here at the weekend after watching a 7-0 tonight and we get beat 2-0 and there's no performance. If we get beat, say, like 2-0, but it's actually the team that actually tried, then I can see something. But if it's just gone back to how it was before, I'll be pissed. So I hope they don't take that from me, because I thought tonight they were all outstanding. And especially, I'll say, like I claim Rashford's goals.
You know, a 2-0 win at Palace.
That win 2-0, yeah. I said 2-0 loss based on because it can happen. But if we win 2-0, it's hard won.
At Palace that in a week we forget about would be absolutely perfect. Just a match that nothing. We don't do anything special, but have to soak up loads of pressure. Just a nice 2-0 win that we used to get. Those games we used to win.
I think the one thing Ten Hag just needs to drill into this team, besides coaching them, is they're not amateur footballers. They're not Sunday League. Like, they're professional. So they need to act and consistently maintain themselves as professional. And if they continue to do that, they will wipe the floor with anybody. I mean, bar maybe City, who are just a whole different level. But if you gave this kind of performance against Liverpool a whole different game. It's that level of professionalism, that kind of attitude that they had tonight they didn't have. And you can see it in these players. Like, they really want to prove it, continue to prove it. That's all they've got to do, because they're not bad players. They're not. There's just something up here with them. I don't get it. But when they really want to try, they are brilliant to watch.
Yeah, it's like at times we're not so intricate, like, but then then every so often we turn it on, particularly in bigger games. I know that's, like, vague of me to say, considering we got thumped there a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
However, there is games where it's like, you're coming out with results where, again, you're against top sides, whether it be like Arsenal, Liverpool, City, etc., which has happened over, Ten Hag's tenure. So it's there. The nucleus of our squad is there, particularly over the summer, considering we've made such good signings. Hasn't been one signing where I've turned around and said, yeah, it's a bit, I'm skeptical about. These are all intricate signings. They're signings where you can say, okay, this is what he's trying to do, and this is like a future potentially, like I'd say with when you reference Xerxes, etc. So I can see a dynamic of change. I know, as well as I touched on it, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, considering they were against, let's be honest, like, weaker opposition. However, this is where, like what you touched on, you stand up and be counted. You go to Selhurst Park on Saturday. Personally, I don't care how we play, as long as we're not battered, etc., and we walk away with 3 points. I don't care.
I agree. And I think they'll take that. And I think he'll use this performance tonight and this attitude as a way of saying, you've done it tonight.
Yeah.
So let's go and do it again. And you look at the whole team back to front. I think the one thing that this game's also proven as well is when they really do control the ball, nobody is genuinely going to cause them any problems. But also you see as well is how relaxed everybody is when we're in control and we're actually moving the ball quickly, and it's actually intricate, it's decisive. So if we can do that consistently, the writing's on the wall. I think the only thing that really matters is just the consistency and the attitude. You get that, we're fine.
Yeah.
Especially after that. And I like the fact that the team tonight as well, I like the fact that he didn't go heavily rotated, but he rotated smartly. He rotated the centre backs. He rotated his full backs. He took Onana out of the team. That's fine. Onana's been fine, but he took Ahmad out as well. Good move. He dropped Fernandes. Good move. He put Rashford up front. Thank fuck for that. I've been waiting for that for a long time. He put Garnacho on the left wing, and he got a midfield that was his two most experienced defensive midfielders that are far more suited to the role, and they look good. Then you introduce players into the field and they look completely fine. Like, it was the right rotation from him. He got that spot on. Now do that against Palace. Get the 3 points, build on it, and just keep using the 7-0 against Barnsley as that's not the measuring stick, but that's your bar.
It's like the catalyst to go and win points in the Premier League versus beating teams in League One, the League Cup.
Exactly.
But I know that sounds like a cynical comment from myself, but realistically, you should be going out, and Manchester United should be going out and beating Barnsley at home. Like, no one would have guessed such a significant win in regards to the amount of goals we scored.
I had about 3 or 4.
Yeah, like, he absolutely battered them, and realistically, we could have had more. So it was a very good night in Old Trafford, obviously, for all involved, thankfully. Just in regards to, again, one thing before we go, rather than going through the whole squad in regards to, squad numbers per se, in terms of, ratings, man of the matches, I suppose, will come to versus just, ratings for the squad that's only off the back of a 7-0 win. So we'll start with yourself, Kevin. Your man of the match for tonight in the glorious colours of Manchester United.
I'll give it to Garnacho. I think he's just burst to speed, put their defence really, really all over the place. Goal he scored in the first half. Straight away in the second half, game was over. I'm going with him. Fantastic. biggest problem, he had an easy hat trick and he tried to make it look brilliant and he just skied it. I think he could have just easily put that ball in, but he's hit it as hard as possible to make it look
It
good.
was like a rush of blood to the head, realistically, wasn't it?
He could have put it in, but he's just he's tried to make it look as good as possible, and it's gone into Rose's head.
His finish for a second, I thought was delightful.
The goalkeeper didn't even bother trying to save it.
Yeah. And it was the pace to get away from everybody as well. I don't know why they were playing so high for that set. Come on.
Yeah, bizarre. I thought they'd have changed it. I actually thought because they made 3 changes at a half time. I thought they were like, oh, Rashford and Garnacho are getting in behind us so easily. We'll have to sit back a bit. Made 3 changes and almost brought them forward more.
Yeah, and with such a significant amount of goals going in a half time, that you're down, you're gonna obviously try to shut up shop somewhere. But like maybe he just said, look, just go out and play football, which they, didn't do so well for themselves. Reece, what about yourself? I'm gonna assume that you're gonna go with Kevin, like you just said, in regards to Garnacho. He was your standout for tonight.
Yeah, I said it at the start of the stream, and I stand by it. Garnacho for me was man of the match. I thought he justified for me why I've said that he should be our starting left winger. I like how he plays in behind, or even when he comes short on the left hand side. I like the fact that he will switch directly to the right and he'll look to just be even more effective. When you look at his overall game, it has vastly improved. I think going to the Argentina squad for the Copa America really gave him light as well, especially with the friendlies they had. They had a good international break. He's raised his game a lot, which I'm really happy for him. And he's come back and he's had a fantastic game, and I think that's all that matters for him. I think Rashford deserves praise as well, like some good goals from him, good assists as well. I think his contributions tonight deserve praise as well. I think the other one by a landslide, though, is Eriksen. Like, you do not play him in a deeper role, even though he's got a fantastic pass on him. You only play him in a deeper role if you've got so many runners. If you don't have runners, you play him in that 10 role, and this is why. Not even like that. It's his first goal since August last year, and he's like, one's not enough. I want 2. It was swift. It was killer. It was great to see, and he wasn't dead, but Barnsley's defence was, and it was good to see. But I like that, and I like the fact that Collier all day was just peacefully quiet. Like, peacefully quiet, they didn't get a mention, and that's for him. But yeah, for me, 100% Garnacho for me. Yeah.
Wasn't any negatives, thankfully, to take from the game, as per se. Like just said, it was nearly beneficial that Collier's name wasn't mentioned too much, based on the fact he'd done the simplistic things right, and which can be so hard to get right in football these days, unfortunately. I'd second that what you said in regards to Garnacho. I thought he was a standout player from the get-go. But like, again, honourable mentions, particularly, like I said, to the likes of Anthony. I thought he played well tonight from the get-go. And lads were looking for him as well, obviously pleased that he got his goal. Rashford as well. I was just, like every Manchester United fan, just crying out for him to hit some form, and no better way to do it tonight than get 2 goals off the back of his goal the weekend against Southampton. As well as that, the only one thing that I hope to see is, again, for him to continue in denying the weekend, hopefully, if Sirski isn't going to start, because Garnacho coming off the bench, albeit, is very good and like such a good impact, but you want him attacking from the get-go. You need an outlet, and like that, we don't score too many goals, and judging very cynically off the back of 2 games where we've scored 10 goals, realistically previous to that, we based on last season exception, the start of this season, we don't score enough goals. So these are the players that, again, like I said previously, need to stand up and be counted, and no better way to do it than a halfway kickoff in Selhurst Park on Saturday, lads.
I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine on the weekend. The only thing is, though, they need to get this out of their set. For some reason, these United players have got a fear factor when it comes to Palace. I don't get it.
It's a very tough place to go to mentally, I think, versus anything else, and I think
Not
that's what
that. We used to just beat them comfortably and
Yeah.
easily, and now we can barely get a result off them.
Do you know what it
Like-
is? I think it's that fans give them an extra. Like I know this sounds so like blasé from a football context, but their fans give them so much extra in regards to their fan base when they're playing at a packed Selhurst Park. I think it's the extra couple of percent where they're like, you know what, we can beat anybody, and it's one of them where like if you score quick against them early, it shuts them up. And ironically shuts their players up as well. They don't really come at you after the fact. They've lost big name players over the summer, the likes of Elise and that. So,
Yeah.
providing we can keep Eze quiet and that, there's not much more going forward. And the likes of Mateta and all that shirt bleeding, Delict and Martinez have enough between them to look after him. So,
The only thing is, though, is they are well coached.
they are. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
They definitely lost their best player, though. Elise
I don't
was
think
their best
I
player
like I like Elise, but I don't think they lost their best player. I think their best player's still at their club.
Eze.
Mm-hmm.
Purple patch player, I thought. No team came in for him in the summer. No.
I think teams would have come in for them, provided Elise hadn't been sold. I think it's you get one or the other. I think Palace were prepared for one or the other, and I think they were happy to let Elise go that they kept Eze. Both of them are fantastic on their own. United, to be fair, should have signed both if you're looking at it. But I like what we got. I like what we signed anyway. I like the options.
Yeah.
But I really do like. I like Elise. I like watching him play, and I like watching Eze. I think one or the other. If you've got both, it's still problems. They are so good to watch.
As well as that, Parish came out and said that they had no significant bids, etc., for Eze, and he was dumbfounded. I wouldn't trust a word that man says. So, like,
I reckon they did. I reckon the likes of Tottenham and all that would have been well at the top of that list, crying out for a player like him in their squad, and anyone else I reckon would have hyper chance of him.
Yeah,
I guess to quote him when he says significant bids, what does significant bids mean?
It's what they value him at versus what the rest of the football and community value him at. Unfortunately for him, he's just a money mad.
I'd say 60, 70, maybe 80 million for Izzy. Like that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
Like young English player that can play a variety of positions, who's come on really well in the last 2 seasons. He's now got himself into his national team squad. He might not be an automatic starter for his national team, but he's at least forced himself into the conversation. He got into the Euro squad for England, deservedly so. He actually had decent Euros from what I did see. He's come back to Palace and he hasn't put a foot wrong. I think it's not that Palace immediately miss Elise, but if he continues to keep getting better and better, they will miss him. Lack of that. Yeah. It'll be losing him. If he gets better and better, losing him will be like them losing Zaha when they had no other option until they found these two. It'll be very hard to replace Eze more than Elise, in my opinion. But I think that both of them together, Palace had something right there.
They did, but unfortunately, it's like, big fish catch a small fish in the end, realistically, doesn't it? So that's ultimately why you have these clubs who are losing their players, particularly obviously the more significant ones, whether that be Zaha and days gone by where United came in, or obviously current climate where the likes of Elise goes to Bayern. So Eze, providing he can keep up his form, is just a transfer window away from signing for a potentially top 6 club. So
I think he will go. I think he'll leave in the summer. For Palace, I think next summer, the top 6 clubs will be after him.
Or Chelsea will go in and play Monopoly again and throw it at him, providing you get their club sold.
Potentially, I think the clubs that will go in from the summer, Spurs. I want to say United, but I don't think United will. I think United will prioritise midfield again, and they'll prioritise left back. So I'll leave United out for this time. But I think Tottenham, one of them. I think Arsenal, because I don't rate Gabriel Martinelli. I don't think he's particularly that good. I think he can come and go, but he has had moments where he's been electric to watch. But it means they'll allow it'll allow Trossard potentially to play more central for Arsenal because Gabriel Jesus is absolute wank. And I think, even though they're an absolute horrible football club, I think the other one could be Newcastle. Because they're doing quite well with recruiting English talent at the minute and getting them into their fold, like Harvey Barnes. Like Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon especially have really shone for them. And I think they will get somewhere if they bring in, say, an Eze. They'll be very difficult to play against if they get them as well. Like, that is dynamic as hell.
I think it'll have to be Tottenham.
I think
For where they want to go, Brennan Johnson is not a starting. He's not a starting player. Like, I don't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's no
I
way
prefer. I don't mind Brendan Johnson, but I prefer. I think Kulusevski's a far better player.
He is.
And when you look on the other side, I'm not playing Brendan Johnson ahead of Timo Werner, for example, and I'm not playing him ahead of Son.
I think they're the same player. Him and Timo Werner, just guys who can come off the bench. They're not starting guys.
One superior, but yeah,
superior, but not starters.
I think it's really will come down to at the end of the day, like what they would do. But I get your point. I would say Tottenham are the main choice for Eze next summer. I'd say 60, 70 million. They'll get them easy.
For Eze, Tottenham be a good choice as well.
Remains to be seen, considering obviously the likes of James Maddison there, who obviously Eze went in potentially ahead of in regards to their previous Euro squad. So you never know.
One thing I agree of by Trevor though is we didn't get a lot of it tonight, which was quite good. We didn't get punished by any strikers who didn't get any chances. And Nketiah certainly will. If he gets a decent opportunity, he will take it. I don't think he's that great a striker, but he certainly will get goals in positions where they will need it. So, judging by how well we played tonight, anyway, as a unit in defence, it'll be a good test for them at the weekend to see how they fare. But all in all, tonight,
see where they're at.
Yeah.
No, we done very well. Anyway, lads, on that note, first and foremost, I want to say thanks very much for making it so easy for me, considering it's the first time I've ever hosted such pod, and really appreciate it. Like I said, I am going to love yous and leave yous, and on the back of a good result, obviously tonight. Hopefully you sleep well. I'll speak to you soon, please God, and hopefully we'll see us before Saturday, when we obviously have Crystal Palace away. All right, lads, thanks very much.